Oh, I get to hear you say it. I forgot about that. All right. All right, guys. So I want to start out with a couple of announcements. Um, First off, the Heart to Heart event. So our convention, symposium, whatever word you use. I think Amara uses symposium. Um, is September 16th and 17th in California. It's in Huntington Beach. I'm sure you guys, if you're on corporate calls or looked at any of our announcements, you're already aware of that. I just want to put it back out there because it has been opened up to bronze and above now. And if those tickets do not sell out to capacity, it will be opened to 3 heart and below as well. So if you're wanting to go in person, which I highly recommend if it's doable for you, then you should go ahead and get your tickets purchased. If you have questions about how to do that, you're not really sure, um, shoot me a message, get with me after the call, and I will make sure to help you do that. The second announcement is that in Lexington, Kentucky, Mandy King is going to be holding an event. If you have been with MRA for the past year, it's going to be similar to what we had last October in Lexington. That event is going to have Beck Sadek and Oliver Dibley, who is our new associate vice president of sales. And they are both going to be there to do a 1 day. Well, honestly, I'm not super clear about this, whether it's a 1 day training or a day and a half, but it is August 6th and August 7th. Now, here is kind of the caveat. If you need to choose between one of those two, even if, it's heart to heart, and you can't go to California and you have to do virtual, and you already know that, if you have to choose about between the virtual event and going to Lexington, I highly recommend being involved in symposium, even virtually. And the reason I say that is because there is going to be such a vast amount of training by so many of our top leaders that I just feel that it's going to be more worth your while. Now, I do see a huge impact in person-to-person events. So that was hard for me to decide what to encourage you guys to do. Of course, do what you feel led to do. But if I was going to recommend if you had to choose between the two, first off, going to California, 2 heart to heart. If you can do it, that would be wonderful. If that's not doable, second, I would go with the virtual symposium and then Lexington. So all the details about Lexington are still up in the air, but the date is set, and Beck and Oliver will be there to train. So I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a great event. Last year, it was wonderful to get together with everyone. And, we had our president of sales at that time there, and it was a good training. Of our team that you can even invite individuals who might be interested in the opportunity. And I would think that they will probably do that again this year. So keep all that in mind, save the dates. Again, the event in Lexington is August 6th and 7th. I think the main event being on the 7th is what I'm gathering from Mandy. And Heart to Heart is September 16th and September 17th. And that is, like I said, in Huntington Beach, California. Those tickets are already on sale. The virtual tickets are not, and I do not have a price for those yet. Unless I've missed it over the past few days, I do not think it's been announced. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. So the price for the in-person event is $400. It has a lot of inclusions in that, not your hotel. But like I said, if you need help with either one of those or have questions, just let me know. Shoot me a message or put it in the chat below. We'll make sure to try to answer that. All right, so for the next 6 weeks, I have decided to lay out a strategic, what I will call strategic plan to go back to the basics on steroids for all of us, because I feel like the basics are what works for everyone. And when we leave those behind and try to get too fancy, sometimes I hear people say, and I felt this a lot lately, that they're stuck, or they just don't know where to go next. So I will be going into, over the later weeks, like um, Instagram Reels, TikToks, things like that, that are going to bring more people into your funnel. But what I really, really want to focus on is the processes that helped me get to where I am. And it wasn't any of that fancy stuff. If you are new, this will be wonderful for you. If you are not new and you've only been with Amare for 6 to 10 months, I think this will still be wonderful for you. If you have been with me since the very beginning, you know, and we probably chatted, that back to basics is the best thing for our entire organization. So I really want to start with you guys having a question to ask yourself. And you don't even have to, you don't have to answer this. If you want to put it in the chat, feel free to do so. But what I really want to reflect on for myself, and I want each of you to do, is, are you really doing all the things, and are you really using the resources that you know that are at hand to get yourself where you want to be? And each of us have a different income goal, and each of us have a different leadership goal. Each of us have a different rank goal. But are you really doing all the things, and are you using the resources that you have in front of you? And we'll talk about those in a little bit. And the processes and systems that we have to get you to where you want to be. It's really easy to get to a place where you kind of lose track of the basics. Or maybe you came in and you were overwhelmed and you're like, Kamla, I don't even know what the basics are, because I started and Edge was launched and business just went crazy. So I think that this is going to meet the needs for the vast majority of people in our organization. I highly recommend, if your teams are not on this call, to make sure that they watch the replay, and get them on these calls if at all possible for the next 5 weeks. So in total, it's going to be 6 weeks, take us all the way through July. So first off, I want you to, if you have pen and paper, that would be great, because it's going to kind of be a little checklist for you to go back and be like, hey, am I doing those things? Am I actually putting the time in that's needed for my goals? And am I focusing my energy towards what I need to? So first off, I think a good question to ask yourself is, are you actually carving out at the least 30 minutes to an hour a day, or the equivalent of, through the entire week, to really focus on your Amare business? And I think that this is important for anybody that wants to rank from silver for guaranteed income and above. I think that this is super important. If that's your goal for 2 months from now, if that's your goal for December or a year from now, it is so important to put that 30 minutes to an hour or equivalent of throughout the week. And what I mean by that is, I like to do a power hour in the mornings. I like to go ahead and get it, the biggest majority of what I know needs to be done, out of the way each morning. But for some of you, that might not be possible. Maybe you want to do, 2 hours, 3 days a week. Maybe you want to do a half hour in the morning and a half hour in the evening. Whatever works for you. This is your business. It's why I love network marketing. It's flexible. But what is not flexible is the fact that we do have to put time and energy into it, right? It just doesn't happen if we don't have some kind of work and effort put into it. So what does that 30 minutes to an hour look like? Content creation. So that is the vast majority of the brain power that I use in my power hour. Now, follow up, which we'll talk about in a second, that takes a lot of time too, at times, depending upon how many people are in your funnel. But where I need to focus my brain at is on content creation for my stories and for my posts, because that's how we're going to get people in our funnel. If we are not creating content on a regular basis, and we're not creating it for, our audience to see new things, for our audience to see new benefits, for our audience to follow our journey, then we're not going to be able to bring in new people. Now, having said that, we've talked about this before. If you're not new, you've heard this. That doesn't mean that every post you post is about Amari. Doesn't mean every post you post is a direct post saying, hey, join me, or hey, you need to try this. But it does mean that you're creating content that brings value to the audience that you have. Because this is at the top of my list, because this is what is going to bring people in to allow the rest of the sales process to happen. So when you are going about your day, even if it's not in your power hour time or whatever time you carve out for Amari, I highly recommend keeping a note in your phone where you come up with ideas of posts or quick stories that you're going to use. And that way it's not always having to rack your brain for what you're going to post. Sometimes I'm in the shower and as soon as I jump out of the shower, I go and I write something down that came to mind. Or maybe, I have a conversation with somebody, because I like to write my posts to actually talk to one individual. Now, they don't know I'm talking to them, but if I know that Kelly is having digestive issues and I have talked to Kelly about it, Kelly is not using Amari, or maybe she even is, but I hear her story. And so I'm like, if Kelly has this story, somebody else has to. And so I will go and I will write a post talking to Kelly. Now, it doesn't say, hey, Kelly, I'm using her as my audience for that day, because I know that if Kelly has digestive issues and she can benefit from these products, which I believe 100%, then we have an audience of people that can do the same. So if I have a conversation with Kelly and Kelly's like, when I eat wheat, I feel bloated. I never feel light on my feet anymore. Everything feels heavy. Once I eat, I'm miserable. I will write a post that says, and I'll put it in my notes to start with, just so I can remember. I'll write a post that says, are you miserable every time you eat? Does your digestion feel like there's a brick wall somewhere? Does it feel heavy every time that you have a meal? That type of thing, because that's going to grab the attention of the people that I'm trying to talk to. But because I keep that in my notes, it makes my content creation easier as the week goes on. And when I sit down tomorrow morning for my power hour, if I need to get a post ready for that morning or that night, guess what I do? I go to my notes and I see all of those things that I've thought about throughout the week. All right. So the next thing that is so, so important is, once we've created content, we in the sales process should be getting in Messenger with people. We should be starting to have a conversation, build a relationship, talk about what their needs are, what areas of healing or benefits are they looking for. And, with the fundamentals pack, it's a little bit deeper, because we're looking to see what protocols people need with therapeutics along with it. With Edge, we know it's a little simpler. But at the end of the day, our goal is to that reaches out to us, because they've reached out to us because they've seen benefits, whether it be mental or financial. And so what are their needs? Once we know their needs, who can tell me, after we know their needs, what we should be doing in the sales process? We have posted, we've got them in Messenger, we've talked to them about their needs, and we figured out what areas of healing they're looking for. Can anyone tell me what's next? Because I feel like we may have, I could be totally wrong, drop the ball on this part of the process. And I'm just curious, what do you guys do after you get them in Messenger? Okay, Christine says 3-way call. There's something that I do even before that. Anyone else? We get them in an add and tag group. So we put them either in the group with benefits, yes, Haley. So you're adding them to group 1 if you're looking for mental wellness solutions. So that can be physical or mental, depending upon what their issues are. We go in that group, we find, we search what their needs are, and we find a testimony that matches that, and somebody that's found healing in that area. We tag them. I'm looking for digestive stuff. We talked to Kelly today at the park and she has digestive issues. I find somebody that has digestive issues similar to hers or somebody that I think she can resonate with, and I add her and tag her in a couple of those. That not only gets her a testimony that relates to her, it also gets her in a group that's constantly going to drip on her. If she, responded, read, then that group is going to come up in her feed. And then we also can follow up with it later. If she's not a immediate yes and new testimonies come in that we think match Kelly's needs, we can tag her in them. If somebody has a financial wellness need that they're looking for, we can tag them in group 2. Group 2 is all about the business. So we have all about the products and all about the business. And it works for as long as we're using it correctly. And add and tag is so simple. You can go back into Messenger, say, I just tagged you in a great testimony. I just tagged you in a great video by Dr. Sean. I just tagged you in an awesome video by our attraction marketer, Beck Sadek. And that's going to get them kind of more in tune with what we're doing and a third party validation. Does that make sense to everybody? Is there anybody not using that? Or feels like they need more direction to use it? Okay. So after you've got them in the groups, then you're going to either work towards the close, like ask them if they were able to see the testimonial, what did they think? And then you're going to work towards the close. If they are not ready at this time, then they're going to go on your follow-up list and you're going to follow up with them. Somebody asked me today, well, how often do I follow up with them? For me in the beginning, I touch base with the individuals that I'm speaking with in the conversation, like as often as we're talking back and forth, as often as correspondence happens. Now that's at the beginning. Now, once you've kind of got to a point in the conversation where they're like, well, I'm going to talk to my husband, or I'm going to do a little bit more research, or whatever their reason is that you don't feel like they're ready today, in the first week to 2 weeks, I check in with them about every 2 to 4 days, depending upon